This video will show you how to set up and use the UIM Provance Gateway probe.
So first of all, we're going to set up the Provance Gateway probe, and it comes with some templates within USM MCS, and here you can see the setup template. I'm just going to change the debug level to 4, change the interval to 6. This is the time that it will check on incidents that it's created in Provance as to their status. So if one has closed, it will then execute the close on the alarm, but it will only do it every X amount of seconds, and that's the interval. So I'm going to change that to 60 for the sake of demos, but 300 is probably a better setting to have it on. And then we have two threads, so you can set it up to be multi-threaded as far as generating tickets is concerned. So if there's a lot of alarms that come in, you might want to update that so that you can increase the number of threads, and the same with the closes. If there's a lot of closes that happen, you can increase the threads so that it happens all at the same time. So I'm just going to create that. And once this is done, we're then going to move over to set up the actual Provance Gateway. So first thing we need to do once we set up the Provance Gateway is we need to know all about the instance that we're using. So this is information about your Provance environment that you have to provide to the gateway in order for us to issue any REST calls. Each of the fields that you see in this template do have like tooltips. So if you just hover the mouse over the label, you'll get a meaningful description of what's needed for each field. So I'm going to head and fill out all these fields, and while I do that, I'm going to pause the video. Okay, so I filled out all the forms. So the UIM assignee is a UIM user that we can assign alarms to, and then the gateway probe will actually look for that assignee and create instance only when that assignee has been assigned to an alarm. We have a UIM, we have a UIM queue, which is the Provance Gateway, and if you look at the tooltip, it tells you that it requires a subject of alarm assign and alarm close, so we know when an alarm's been assigned, which user it will be. We'll look for the Provance user in this case, and when an alarm is closed, we'll see both of those messages and act accordingly. The ticket field, this holds the internal GUID number of the ticket itself that we use when we want to launch directly from UIM into the actual incident itself. And the UIM display field is the more meaningful INC number that most people would reference for an incident. Add note just adds a note to the alarm. You can have that checked on or off, it's up to you, just to tell you the incident was created, and it will give you a timestamp of what time it was created as well. The URL is to your instance of Provance. We have a username, a password, which is unseen here and encrypted in the configuration file, tenant ID, and the client ID. And then we have the API version. So we currently support version 8.2 and version 9 of the API, and this particular instance has got version 8.2 on it, so that's what we'll be doing. We have left it editable so you can add your own version, but we can't guarantee it's going to work if Provance have somehow changed the API, in which case it may not work and might need slightly tweaking, but it definitely works for 8.2 and 9.0. Okay, so I'm going to go and create that. Okay, so now that's actually been created, it's configured all of the instance information into the gateway probe. So we're just going to have a look at some of the callbacks that are available via the gateway probe. Okay, so we're in Infrastructure Manager, and we can see that the Provance Gateway probe is here. If I just do a Control P on here, it'll give us a probe utility, and we can see that there is a number of callbacks. Now, because this is a REST interface, what we've decided to do was to actually gather some of the information from Provence and put it into the MCS templates so that it's a bit more meaningful to your own environment. So if we have a look at list accounts, for instance, if I just run this as a callback, you can see that I get a list of accounts that are available for this test instance that I'm using at the moment, and I get the GUIDs as well as the actual name of the accounts. And this information we can push directly into MCS, so we can have drop downs in MCS that can be populated with data that are coming directly from your environment. So if we go back to MCS now, and we're going to look at the Provance Gateway template itself. Okay, so now we've configured the details of the instance. Now we can look at the field mapping. So if we go to the field mapping, first thing that this does is it actually goes away and executes various callbacks to populate the drop-downs. Now this can take a little while. It really depends on your environment, but here we can see that the case origin, this is coming directly out of Provence. So these are the values that are available, and what we're interested in is, so if we just say that case origin, we're going to say is email, and then it gives us a code. So this can take a little while depending on your environment. So now we've got information that's come directly from Provence to populate these drop-downs. So the case origin, you can select the case origin. You may want to create your own origin, but these are the ones out of the box that come. So we're just going to select one, just say case origin for us is email. We can then, the close status, just going to select the close status. In case you've created your own, you can tell us what you consider as a closed. We've got the closure type, which again has come directly from Provence, so we're just going to say do nothing. And the closure category, we're going to say resolution sent, but again you can select your own. And for the SLA status, we're going to say is completed. So you'll notice that the codes have actually been populated with the values. Now these are values that the API needs in order to populate these fields. So some of them look a little strange, like this one for instance, but these might be a bit more meaningful to you, that they're the actual values or the codes for the values have been selected. Also need to select cancelled in case you have something other than cancelled. The reason that we have the cancelled is because there's obviously an association between an alarm and an incident in Provence. We can't just be looking for closed. So if it's cancelled, we need to know it's cancelled, and then we need to either do nothing, close the alarm, or unreference, for instance. So make sure the association isn't there anymore. So in effect, this alarm is no longer monitored by us because the case has been cancelled. So we're just going to create those field mappings. Okay, so now they've been created and written to the configuration file. Now you might think to yourself, okay, there might be some additional fields that we haven't provided in this template here that you need for your environment. So what we've done is we've created an additional fields template here. If I just stretch that a little bit. And here you can say what type of field it is. So if you want more fields added when you open an incident, you can do that. You can give it the the field name, whatever it may be, test field, and then a value of whatever the code may be, or whatever the value might be. So you're going to have to provide that value because we're not looking it up for you, but you can do that yourselves and you can add these fields. So if I just create this field here. So that should now have created a new field. So if we go back to Infrastructure Manager, and if I just do a Control N just to show me what's in the configuration file, we can look at the field mapping here we have here, and you can see we've got an API till test field with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 value. So that's, I'm able to add a new field in. So any field that exists in the field mapping here will be used when an incident is created. And the same with here on the close mapping, anything that exists in close mapping will be used when the incident is closed to populate the field. So you can add new fields, either open or closed. So I am now going to go back and going to delete this because it won't work because that's an invalid field. So I'm just going to delete that, but that was just to show you that you could actually do that. You can add in your new field. So that's, you know, future-proofed so that you can add your own fields for the open and the close. So now we're going to set up some account details. So the account is an association between an account within UIM and an account within Provance. Now, an account in UIM is obviously defined by its origin. So we're going to take an origin that we've got defined here. So you should have in your UIM environment different origins for your different accounts. So that's why we're associating that origin for that account, and then I can determine which account this particular origin relates to within Provance. Now notice that I have just got a list of the accounts themselves here, but the contacts is empty, and that's because it's waiting for me to select an account. So if I select the Cisco sample account, it goes away, does another callback, and then populates the contacts with only the contacts that are available for this particular account. So they are actually limited so that you can specify an account, and only those contacts will then be given back to you as far as the list of contacts are concerned. So let's take sales, for instance. Sample sales is going to be my account. It's going to go away, give me the accounts, and then I'm going to go with Alan Sheeran. Okay, so now I've selected my account, I've selected my contact. So this is the person that when the incident is created, it will be done in this person's name and for this account going on the origin from UIM. Now obviously UIM has various different severities, and you might decide that the different severities denote different ticket templates. So the ticket templates within Provance, you know, they come out of the box and you can use the same one for every single severity, or you can decide that for, you know, a minor severity we need a different type of ticket template, and the same with major and the same with critical. So you can have different ones, or you can all use the same one, or you could just, for instance, we're only interested in critical and leave the other two blank, and if somebody tries to assign, or if somebody assigns an alarm to that specific Provance user for a major alarm and there's no ticket template associated with that alarm, nothing will get created. But if there is, it will use that ticket template, it will populate using the fields in the field mapping, and then create an incident. So I'm just going to select the INCTT number 1 for all three of these. So I'm going to use the same ticket template regardless of the severity. Now we've only done 3 severities, critical, major and minor. Now again, just in case you decide, okay, well, we're interested in warning messages as well, we have this for the accounts here. We also have account severity. So another template, which is a future-proof thing, you don't have to use this, but again, you can say, okay, I'm interested in warning messages. I want to use this particular ticket template and then create that. And what that does is in the configuration file, it adds another value for warning, an association with a ticket template that we use. So if you assign to the Provance user a warning message, it will actually use that ticket template there. Again, you can use that or you don't use it, but that's kind of future-proofed in case you want to do that and we haven't provided it. That's a way to do that. Okay, so that's all the information that we need to provide, at least for this one account that we've set up. So let's go and have a look at the configuration file and see how that looks. So if we go to Gateway, Provance, and do a Control-N just to bring up the configuration file, these are all the values that we've actually selected as part of this configuration that you can use. We've done through MCS, Provance user, the queue, 60 seconds, custom field 4, and so on. And you can see that the instance of Provance, the values are all specified here, the version number and so on. Field mapping, which we touched upon earlier, is set up, and the same with, so we have accounts, and you can obviously have multiple accounts, and the accounts you can actually uncheck the active box so that you can just set up an account and leave it. So you don't want it active yet, but in the future you might want to have it active or turn it off at certain times. It's entirely up to you, but you can, if that's checkbox is checked to be active of no, then this account will be ignored. But if it's not, then it will take the severities, and you can see all the severities, the accounts that's been associated with the contact. We also have warning in there, which is the one that we added, just the extra one that we added, and that's pretty much all the configuration needed for the configuration file. So now if we look at the alarms itself, I've filtered a one particular alarm, Elastic. I am going to assign this alarm to the user Provance. Now what happens in the background is the probe itself will be notified that an assign has happened. It will check the user, it will match Provance, then it will grab the details specified by the field mapping, and it will pass those fields over. And once all that's been done, an incident will be created, and then the details will be passed back. Now if we look at the custom field 5, which is what we specified for the user-friendly number, and custom field 4 was for the GUID. Now let's have a look in Provance. So here we can see the incident number 10021 2018 and 10021 2018. So let's select that. And we can see some of the details, the title that we had specified in our configuration file, and obviously this has come from a ticket template, it tells you. There's the description that's coming from the alarm. We have the name of the contact, which we selected was Alan Chirin, and the company was Sample Sales. So they're the details that we added in directly from the template itself, from the underlying alarm. Okay, so now let's go back to UIM, and we are going to the notes that are in there. So we can see that ticket incident was created, gives us the time that the note was added, so that's roughly the time that the incident was created, tells us the incident number there, but obviously we can see it in custom field 5 there. So one other thing that we can do is within USM we can set up a URL action, and if I just go and edit the URL action, this tells us that we can set up here the instance address, and we can pass across various bits of information so that we can actually launch directly to the incident itself. And part of that is the custom field 4, because if you remember that we saved the GUID to the custom field 4, so we can use that here to actually launch directly into this incident. So once that's been set up, if we go to launch URL action, we can specify the action, which in our case is Provence, take the details of this underlying alarm, and take us straight to the actual alarm itself. So we can see that it's 10021 2018 and the details that we looked at just a moment ago. But we can launch directly to this from UIM, provided that we actually have a session already running to Provence in a browser, then we can do that. So now what we're going to do is close this alarm. So we're going to close it on the UIM side. So if we just check that alarm and do a acknowledge, that will close off the alarm. And if we go to the incident, okay, so now the alarm has been closed, the close information has been sent across. We look here, we've got a resolution of succeeded, SLA status of completed, and we have a incident status of closed. And if we go down to the bottom, we should see that the closure category is equal to resolution sent, which is what we had selected, and the details that we put was just closed by CA-UIM. Okay, so now let's do that the other way. So let's select an alarm, select this alarm, we're going to assign it to Provence. Okay, so once the incident has been created, there is a slight delay which you're not seeing because I paused the video, but you can see that the incident and the or the custom fields have actually been filled in. So we know the incident has been created. We know that the incident number is 10022 2018. We can obviously go from here, beg your pardon, we can go from here, do a URL action, Provence. It'll take us straight to this incident. Okay, so let's go for a resolve and close. And it's resolved, closed. Yes, just selecting the values that you have to. Resolution sent is fine. Give it some interesting information and then do a next. Okay, customer via email. Next. Okay, so now that's been closed. We'll go back here, have our selected alarm that we can see, and now we have to wait while the gateway actually checks to see that this incident has actually been closed, and it will actually close off this alarm for us. So again, yeah, this shouldn't take any more than 60 seconds, so just a little bit of time to wait for that to happen. Okay, and now it's been closed. So either closing the alarm on here can cause the incident to be closed, or vice versa. Closing the incident can cause the alarm to be closed. And just by assigning the alarm to that specific user that you specified, which in our case is Provence, will force a incident to be opened against this particular alarm, and it will obviously only look for the alarms that we've specified ticket templates against. So in our case, it goes all the way down to warning. So we do critical, major, minor, and warning, but out of the box only goes down to minor, top 3, but you can add them if you wish. And as I mentioned earlier, you can add new fields if you wish to. If we don't, If your ticket template requires more fields than we've provided, then you can add those yourself. And the same with the close. If you want to add further fields on the close, then you can do that as well. And that pretty much is the Provance Gateway probe.
For more detailed information about this product, click the information bubble in the top right corner to load the product page. From there, you can visit product documentation, support, communities, or see the learning paths.